So throughout the year, SCC is really busy with some of the activities that we do and some of the events that we put on. And this year, actually, just this past month, we finished up with our annual Excellence in Community Television Awards. And we actually had a new venue this year, right?
Yep, Kellerman's Event Center, which we got tons of rave reviews for. Everybody loved it. Beautiful space, and it worked out really well. That was great.
Yeah, I know that was the one thing is everyone kept asking, like, what was this building before? It's a really cool building. And I couldn't actually answer that. I think we didn't actually find out what it was.
Well, I think Sharon was saying it used to be a dance studio upstairs.
Oh, that makes sense.
Because it was a wide open space, but she says she remembered it being a dance studio at some point.
Okay.
So
yeah, it's nice having some of our resident producers that have been from White Bear like almost their entire lives and stuff. Kind of hear some of the history of that. And then too, the actual awards process was a little bit different this year as well.
Yep. And so this year we took the liberty to actually give the producers the power to submit their own shows to be nominated for the awards categories. So we had our normal awards categories. I believe there was Excellence in Multi-Faith Programming, Community Involvement, Outstanding Creative, and then we also had
Technical and Production Excellence.
Yep, exactly. And then our normal New of the Year and Volunteer of the Year. But so those two we had picked, staff did. But the other ones were up for submissions. And so they submitted a 5-minute clip. And then we had judges outside of SCC. So we had no hand in it at all. And so they were the ones who selected for those awards. So I think we had some really great award winners. I believe it was Sharon and George DiGidio for Excellence in Multi-Faith Programming, and then we had Barb Britton for Outstanding Creative, and then we had Randy LaFoy for Community Involvement, and then last but not least, I think it was Kevin Suki for Technical and Production Excellence. So. Yeah.
And that was nice because we had 2 people that haven't won anything, kind of new, fresh to it, that were able to kind of jump in.
And the submission process really increased people's involvement in it, which I think is really nice, that they were invested, they submitted, they wanted us to see the work that they had done. And it was much more, it was fair, it was, with the judges and everything, I think it was a great improvement that way. So we're looking forward to continuing that, I believe, in the coming years. Yep.
And then we also had our Noob of the Years. We actually gave it to 3 guys that kind of do a project together. It was Matt Hudson, Chris Dries, and Jeff Crandall, that do the Poker Dabbler show. And then our Volunteer of the Year was actually Lauren Cedarstrom this year, which is quite deserving person. He's very involved inside and outside of the actual facility itself. So that's quite deserving.
Yeah, and we do the public access programming video that you put together. It highlights the work that everybody does, because it's really nice just to acknowledge how much work everyone puts into their projects, their programs, and it's impossible to acknowledge all of it, but we try as best we can, because the hard work is really worth acknowledging.
And I think that's what's kind of fun too, is whenever you go to some of these other conferences and stuff like that, or you meet with other public access staff from around the country, and you talk about how much you do, and like the fact of every night except for Tuesday night, we have a live show coming out of our studios. Yeah. And a lot of these other facilities are just amazed at how much content is actually coming out of here. And just talking to other facilities in the metro and stuff, and how they're submitting all their shows to those other facilities too. So it's a real credit to all the people that do produce out of suburban community channels.
Yes.
And so we also had a lot of other events, like our bi-monthly Producers Club. We had some very nice special guests in. We had actually a former staff member who was Luis Iglesias. He came and actually talked about creating your own story idea from scratch and making it unique. And so that was a really good. That one seemed like it got a lot of positive feedback from producers.
Yeah, people had a lot of great questions in that one, and they were kind of using his expertise to help develop their own ideas, and I think it was really productive for everybody.
And I think it was nice because he talked a lot about pre-production, which we don't really go into depth here. So I think he was talking about how to make a schedule, how to find your locations, kind of base those things and plan. I think that was the biggest thing. It was planning your event or whatever subject it was.
And focusing on your message, which sometimes people get wrapped up in the technical stuff and they forget to really, what am I trying to say, and how do I achieve that based on planning and pre-production purposes.
Yeah. And then we also had the great privilege of having Bo Zhang from Care 11. She actually came and talked about being a multimedia journalist, or kind of like a one-man band when it comes to producing your own stuff. And that one I found really fascinating. And I feel like I learned a lot from her, even with just her presenting that.
Yes. It was interesting because she showed up at Putts for Ray, and we could see how she set up all her stuff by herself, and she was really, really working hard, and it was cool to hear her come talk about it. Having seen her do her work and then have her come talk about how difficult it is and how hard she works, it's really impressive and really a good inspiration for people here.
Well, you know, and with equipment nowadays too, you can do things by yourself. You don't need a whole huge crew of 10 people. Of course, you know, it's always nice to have an extra person there to help you man the camera, but when worst case scenario, you have to just, you know, shoot something by yourself. It was a very good example of how to do that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And so now we'll take a quick look at some of the events that happened here in 2014.
Welcome to our annual Excellence in Community Television Awards, and thank you for helping us celebrate tonight 30 years of community television in these communities.
And we are here because everybody in the community has taken an interest in what community media is all about. And community media, we are a family. We believe in what we're doing. We believe in the free speech, that the great platform that community media and the SCC has given everybody in the community.
And we will move forward into our SCC Awards.
Well, thank you for being here tonight. And we look forward to seeing you at the facility tomorrow and every day thereafter. Thank you very much.
We focus a lot in cable access in how to use the equipment, but sometimes the people learning the production process to create a conceptualization or develop a concept for your television program. So this class or lecture is about the step that you had to take and the things that you had to do to develop a concept for your TV show.
Thank you again for coming in on a Saturday to do this. I'm going to talk a little bit about my workflow as a multimedia journalist. Some people call us one-man bands, one-woman bands, backpack journalists, whatever you call it. Basically, I can shoot and edit my own stuff. At first, I said I wanted a photographer for the story because there were so many layers and there were so many places to go. And I was told no, and I thought, oh my God, this story is gonna suck now because I'm not gonna, how am I gonna talk to people and they're gonna share these emotional stories and I'm gonna be moving this camera around, how am I gonna do that? And shooting this alone ended up being the best thing ever.